What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market and the dynamics of what we've been seeing happening in crypto, where, of course, we've seen the price of XRP skyrocket, but XRP is not alone. Hedera Hashgraph has been putting up big numbers as well, and we're starting to see some breaks elsewhere in the market, like with Chainlink here, which look awfully similar to what it was like for the start of the run for XRP. And while on social media, the talk of the town has been XRP, and I do believe it will continue to be, but I also think we will see this market start to broaden out even more. This whole rally has been broad-based for the entire crypto market. It's just that some have been extremely outperforming compared to others, but typically what we see is we see the whole market rise together. We have been seeing that, but still it's been a little bit consolidated for the mega massive performers. But essentially what I want to do is I want to take a look at the big picture of what's going on in crypto and talk about what's happening right now, because there's two ways to kind of look at this. You can look at it through the lens of being like, hey, we're finally in a bull run, hip hip hooray. Or you can look at it through the lens of, okay, hip hip hooray. But historically, these things don't really last very long, right? Typically last anywhere from like 30 to 120 days. And they typically only happen at specific time periods in the market. They happen when Bitcoin's either going into expansion and the crypto market's going into expansion, or they happen when Bitcoin is topping and distributing into the rest of the market. Our safety trade dominance that we've been tracking for so long has started to go into a breakdown, which is why we're seeing altcoins rip to the upside. The dominance is moving out of Ethereum, out of Bitcoin, and out of the stable coins and moving into the altcoin market. So I want to look at that through the lens of what it was like in 2021 when this was happening and where we were at that time. Then I'll show how it still seems there's probably still quite a bit more left in this altcoin market. There's more left for XRP. We'll look at things like XRP versus Bitcoin, but also through the lens that this whole market tends to move together. The thing to take notice of course, is all this action for the market has really been happening right here for Bitcoin. There hasn't really been any movement happening in Bitcoin, but the altcoin market has just been ripping. We could see that the Bitcoin dominance has really just tanked on itself here, really starting right here within this moment. It's all the way back down to July. If we go back to 2021 to see when did the Bitcoin dominance really start to collapse on itself, you can see that we were in this range, which was very similar to what we were just in here. Then the dominance really started to fall apart as it was making its topping structure up in here. Then the dominance bottomed down in here as Bitcoin went back into a 702 retracement after setting the peak, setting a new daily lower low, retracement, and then that's where the end of the market came in. That when this break happened right here for the Bitcoin dominance, where it took out this low, Bitcoin was working on something like this. You can see this break starts in here while Bitcoin's still doing this stuff. It had not gone shooting for its peak just yet. The dominance had already continued falling by the time Bitcoin goes for that peak. Let's zoom in on that, and I'll take some of this stuff off the screen. So the question kind of remains in here, are we a little bit further along in this thing that could eventually go stab for that big peak up in there, since we've now already started to break down in the dominance of not just Bitcoin, but in here for this safety trade dominance. When this moment happened right in here, where this thing started taking out those lows, like so, you were already right here. Right, so you say, hey, are we something like that right now? Right, this is the lens you would look at it through if you thought that Bitcoin was going through a top. We can address what it would be like in the event of an expansion, which would be more along the lines of this, which is what we've talked about for really the last year or two. But just looking at it through the lens of a top, this is what it was like, and this is what was happening with the dominance. And, really from this point forward, it was only about a month to a month and a half left in the market, and then it kind of came to a conclusion. I can tell you firsthand that if you're looking at me to tell you exactly how long things are going to take, and if you think, oh, do you still think it's only going to take a month and a half? These are just models. These are just how things have happened before and putting them into context. I'm not going to be able to predict time, but I can kind of show you how long things have taken before. Like for what's happening with XRP right now, you could see how long these bull runs have historically happened. And let's address that really quick, because there's a lot of talk on Twitter about, look at this can't be real, of how this is happening with the price action for XRP. It has always acted like this. This is why, genuinely, this is why there's a lot of culture out there for XRP on social media and YouTube. That's why there are the flip the switch stuff. It's because the price action for XRP always behaves like this. Anytime it's moving up, it moves up in a straight line, and it does not behave in a slow grind like with something you would get with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin kind of gives you the, here, let me hold your hand and give you a glass of warm milk as I tuck you into bed, and we'll gradually climb 1 or 2% every day and make you feel good about what you're in. This thing tends to just torture you for years on end, and then boom, the price moves very quickly. And that's exactly how the price has always historically behaved for this asset, and it's not unusual to see it behave like this. This is why people have always thought XRP holders are crazy when charts get posted on Twitter, or when we're pasting fractals of straight lines up, because this is exactly how the price action has always behaved. But looking at it through that lens of being like, all right, well, how much time is there, right? Well, you can look back in here and see that even in this circumstance right here, this is 60 days worth of price action for XRP. This one in here, this one's only like 24, 25, 30, right? Right now, we're already on like day 30. So you go through a historical lens and you say, well, how much time is remaining? Based on history, not much. Now you can look at that through the lens of being incredibly fearful, or you can look at it through the lens of this is the moment we've all been waiting for. And the reality is it's kind of both, right? Locking in, being ready, not emotionally blindsided. And I'm not sure if there's some 60-day hard rule on how long this thing can last for. The point of it all is just kind of painting the picture of just where we are. Dominance is breaking. Bitcoin could be creating what looks like a topping structure in here, which is why we are seeing all the action in the altcoins, and that's not a surprise. That's what we've been talking about for forever. But a lot of times people look to it and say, why is this happening, right? And trying to wrap your head of why is all of this happening in the market right now? What is so special about this moment? Oh, it's because of the election. Oh, it's because the Fed's in a cutting cycle. Oh, it's because of this or that. But we can actually look through the market and see it on there of when do these things typically happen? They typically happen during Bitcoin's distributions or during expansions. And right now, I don't really see any reason to just kind of be panicking and saying that it's at the end. I'm not in any way ready to come on here and say, it's time for me to sell, I'm getting out. No, I think there's still quite a bit more excitement to come in this market. But the things that we're going to be looking for as we keep moving forward are, one, the safety trade dominance getting quite a bit lower, which in the end is what? A whole lot more running happening in the altcoins. Two, we're going to be watching to see if something like this starts to form here on Bitcoin, where it makes another peak for a new high, followed by a lower low, and then going back to a retrace. This would be a big warning sign if we went back to a 702 Fibonacci retracement level, while this was way down here. That would be a big warning sign. Alternatively, if Bitcoin just completely surprises me and blindsides me and just goes roaring up to $150,000 or something, we may have to start looking at this through a different lens. That one, the altcoin market will still top here. That will still be the end. But the question is, does this market have more legs to it after Bitcoin does some type of correction, and then it can go? If Bitcoin starts to fault and fumble in here, doing this kind of stuff and this kind of stuff, this is never going to get entertained. But why do we kind of entertain both of them at this exact time right now? It's because both of these types of moments can produce alt seasons, which we're experiencing. The fact is, if XRP is firing to the upside, we're in alt season. Hedera, Cardano, SWI, if they're firing to the upside, we're in alt season. If that's breaking down, we're in alt season. So when do we tend to be in alt season? We tend to be in it when we're in rotational tops and distribution happening for Bitcoin, or we're in them when we're in some type of expansion that's happening for Bitcoin. So this is 2014 through 2017 on top of Bitcoin from 2021 all the way here to currently at 2024. This moment right here also produced an alt season in the market. However, alt season did come to a conclusion right there. So no matter which one you look at it from, if you say, hey, we're in expansion or we're in distribution, both of them say, we're in alt season. And what we're going to be looking for now is just cues to say, will there be more to this later in 2024? Or are we just kind of finishing everything off here? But step one, of course, is figuring out when is the altcoin run going to stop. And while I personally don't think it's coming to a conclusion until this dominance gets down much lower. The reason I kind of come in here and be like, hey, you know, man, these things are happening fast, because if it continues at this rate, it would be pretty quick. And I know we get caught in the moments of excitement, and there's likely positive news that comes out. And to imagine that, you know, just keeping it all in mind. Either way, the moral of the story is it appears we are in alt season. It appears there still needs to be a whole lot more broadening out. And I know XRP is the big story right now, and I think it will remain the big story, but I also think other things will too. Right now, we're trying to see what type of structure we're going to get here on Bitcoin. Regardless, percentage-wise, Bitcoin will be the worst performer in this situation. And even in the event that Bitcoin goes to 150,000, it's still going to be the worst performer. It's only 50% more from right now. Historically speaking, those percentages are absolute peanuts and nothing. And back in September, I purchased a portfolio in the newsletter that I titled, I Grabbed the Dip. I said, personally, I'm not a big believer in a gigantic run in Bitcoin and wouldn't be surprised to see it at the bottom of the list in performance like it has in years past and as shown in the historical data presented in this and past newsletters. And that's true. Out of the 20 coins that were purchased back in September, Bitcoin has been the fourth worst performer because it makes really great headlines to say 100K, but percentages, we're just looking at tiny stuff happening in here. And even if it goes to 150, it's only 50% more from here. The market participants do not care about 50%. They care about 400% in 30 days. So regardless of this stuff, I think Bitcoin will be the worst performer or one of them. And I think that's represented by how we will see this dominance eventually continue to fall. And then moving on to things like XRP, that the XRP Bitcoin chart. So this is the price of XRP measured in Bitcoins or in sats. That I still think there's about another 200 to 300% rise to happen here for XRP at a minimum versus Bitcoin. And to look at this structurally of what this looks like, this is like Wyckoff accumulation that has happened down here at the lows. And for those who have been around through the entire bear, we know a lot about Wyckoff accumulation, and it did all pan out there at the bottom of the market. But this is also Wyckoff accumulation happening here for XRP. This is your selling climax, your automatic rally, your secondary test in phase B, your creek, and your spring. Essentially, this thing happening in here. Selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test in phase B, followed by your spring. Or from Jim Forte's Anatomy of a Trading Range, you can see that happening in here. Selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test, and then your secondary test in phase B, followed by your creek, and then your break. Then firing back up into your range. This is where it does appear to be where we are at here for XRP currently right now. Another way to look at that is like when we did this for Binance back here in 2023 when everybody was screaming the next big thing was going to be the Binance collapse happening in here. We're like, no, this is Wyckoff accumulation. But as you can see, Binance moves right back to the range to where our creek has to work that out, and then whoof. Right. So I still see that. I still think that's coming. I think what we're seeing with XRP, like there's probably going to end up being some correcting that happens up in here at some point. But I don't think this is like the last leg. I think it's probably likely there's going to be some pause that happens here, and then the next leg happens. Now, if we just go breaking through here and there's no pause at all, then there will be no such thing as, oh, there's another leg. It's just one big giant leg and that's it. But my best guess is that there's probably some stalling that happens right in here for XRP versus Bitcoin that then goes for that bigger push to happen. So like no matter where I look, like if I'm looking at things like XRP versus Bitcoin, if I'm looking at safety trade dominance, or I'm looking at what are the next phases that can happen in here for Bitcoin, it's that one, it seems more likely, like there's still going to be this whole thing that works out, and that's the time to be really scared, or there's the expansion that happens in here, and the time to be scared is going to be up in here, right? But where we're at today with these things of where they're located and where they're located right in here, I don't see a reason to be all panicked and worried about it right now, although you can feel that way when prices are going way up, because you look at your portfolio, you're like, dang, my net worth is higher than it's probably ever been in my life, and any type of volatility, especially a 30 or 40% correction, which those things will happen, right? You're going to watch your net worth fluctuate in the most volatile market in the world, and it's going to be gut-wrenching. But all signs still point to that there's still more legs to come in here. But just kind of like understanding that, what will it be like when we get there, right? What would be things that were like the story would change, and it wouldn't so much be more of me coming on here and being like, hey, I think there's more to go. I think it's exciting. I think we have a whole lot more. It would be like, hey, if XRP versus Bitcoin is sitting in here, right? If the safety trade dominance has already worked its way all the way down here, if Bitcoin has done something like this and it's gone back to a 702 Fibonacci retracement right here, while that is there and that is there, and if this moment is accompanied by the altcoin market not being phased by it, but while Bitcoin goes back into the retracement, the altcoin market still continues higher. That would be all of our confluences to be like, hey, this is concerning. The altcoin market has continued higher while Bitcoin's in a retrace. The dominance has fallen all the way down. XRP versus Bitcoin has already gotten all the way back up. And if it's accompanied by price targets also being hit over here at the same time, where say XRP goes and hits the 4.236 extension on this market cap at the same time as that, and that behavior for Bitcoin, then my story changes. And I'm not like, hey, I think there's more legs in here. I start being like, hey, there's some concerns in here. And so I'm doing a pretty poor job of being like, hey, I'm really excited. I think the future looks really bright and it's going to be a lot of fun. But a lot of this channel is emotional management and not getting caught up in the crowd and not getting caught up in the excitement. It is all very exciting. But there becomes a time and a place to not run with the crowd anymore. Right now feels like it's probably a good time to just be running with the crowd. Like we're all having a good time. Things don't seem to be in a situation where things are terrifying yet, where we have a confluence of multiple things. I just don't see them. The confluences are all pointing towards, hey, it seems there's more left in this market and that it's probably going to broaden out even further. And it's just going to become this chasing game where everybody's chasing this and then they're chasing that and then they're chasing this and that. It still feels like that's just what we're in. And that's where the kind of the crazy gets set in and where these types of things end up playing out. But I always try to lay down the groundwork of ahead and paint the big picture of it all so that, when we start reaching those periods of where it's like, hey, this is kind of near the end, kind of being prepared for it. But, I think we're just living in it right now. And this is others.d. So this is a dominance of others. So the entire altcoin market, excluding the top 10. So the broadening out of the market, you could see here back in 2018 through 21, you could see the bottoming that happened right here where it took place on right here. We ended up bottoming once again on the literal exact same day. And things are just moving along and humming along, right? There'll be bumpy roads along the way. But, things are just looking fine and dandy right now. So I hope that kind of painted a picture of where the whole market is at right now. It's important to kind of have that mindset, at least I think, when we go into all of this. I'll try not to have an opinion on anything without at least showing you all the data points and the reasons why I have those opinions. You can make your own decision on what you think, but I like to lay it all out for you, and hopefully you like seeing that. So, all right, that's going to be it for this one, you guys. A couple of days ago, I posted a new newsletter over there on Substack at blockchainbacker.substack.com. It's all green, November's crypto renaissance. We talk about the crowd returning. Take a look at some of my YouTube stats. So I show you guys things on how it looks when you enter into a bull run and what it's like in the periods leading up to a bull run. We're mimicking a lot of that behavior. We take a look at the 20 coin portfolio to see how it is doing. Of course, if you sign up for the newsletter, you get access to all the past ones. So you get access to this one and the other ones as well. We talk about the meme coin trenches and the differences between meme season, like on centralized exchanges versus things like are what happening on First Ledger or Pump.fun. And then we talk about what historically happens next in the market after where we're at right now. I audio record all of these myself. This last one is 38 minutes long. You could choose to read it or listen to it or do both. Of course, you could check out bcbacker.com with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. There are links to both of those down here in the description of this video, to bcbacker.com and to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.